December 17th, 2011. Pyongyang, North Korea. Snow fell silently over giant monuments as loudspeakers announced that Kim Jong Un was dead. Streets filled with choreographed grief, soldiers bowed in frozen lines, and millions of eyes turned toward one young man who had barely been known to the world. Kim Jong Un stepped forward from behind the curtain of secrecy and inherited the most closed state on Earth. Outside North Korea, many believed he was too young, too inexperienced, too fragile to survive among generals shaped by decades of fear. But inside the walls of Pyongyang, another story had already begun. The smiling air would soon reveal that youth did not mean weakness. It meant unpredictability. Within months, portraits were raised, statues were polished, and power began to move like a silent knife through the capital. Men who once stood beside his father started disappearing from photographs, offices, and eventually from life itself. In a country where silence was law, absence became the loudest message. April 2012. Kim Il-sung Square. Massive parades rolled across the plaza as missiles passed before cheering crowds. Cameras showed discipline, precision, and unity. But behind the spectacle, fear tightened its grip. North Korea's system was built on layers of loyalty, surveillance, and punishment. Every street had watchers. Every apartment block had informants. Every whisper carried risk. Families could be punished for the thoughts of one relative. Beyond the capital's polished avenues stood another kingdom, hidden behind mountains and barbed wire. Secret prison camps, known through escaped testimonies and satellite imagery, were said to hold those accused of disloyalty, dissent, or simply bad bloodlines. There, hunger, forced labor, and disappearance became tools of control. The regime denied these accusations, but defectors described a landscape where a human being could vanish without trial and without memory. In North Korea, prisons were not only places, they were warnings, visible to no one and feared by everyone. December 2013, Pyongyang. Then came the purge that shocked even hardened observers. Jong Song-taek, Kim Jong Un's uncle and one of the most powerful men in the state, was suddenly arrested during a public meeting. State media called him a traitor, corrupt, immoral, dangerous. Days later, he was executed. The message was unmistakable. Blood relation offered no protection. Seniority meant nothing. If a man so close to the ruling family could fall overnight, no official could sleep in peace. Ministries froze. Generals adjusted their loyalties. Faces at ceremonies changed with alarming speed. In dictatorships, fear keeps order. But extreme fear also creates ghosts. People stop speaking honestly, stop warning leaders of danger, stop trusting allies. Yet Kim Jong Un appeared willing to rule through shock itself, using unpredictability as a weapon sharper than any prison wall. February 2017. Kuala Lumpur International Airport, Malaysia. In one of the strangest assassinations of the modern era, Kim Jong-nam, the estranged half-brother of Kim Jong-un, was attacked in a crowded airport terminal with VX nerve agent, one of the deadliest chemical substances known. Two women approached him in what looked like a prank gone wrong. Minutes later, he was dead. Global investigators pointed toward North Korean operatives. Pyongyang rejected blame. But the killing sent a chilling signal across continents. Even exile did not guarantee safety. Even distance could not outrun family politics. If true, it showed a regime willing to strike publicly, internationally, and with methods designed to terrify. The Forbidden Kingdom was no longer contained by its borders. Its shadows could travel. Meanwhile, another obsession accelerated beneath mountains and inside sealed facilities: nuclear weapons, missile laboratories, underground tests that shook the earth. Each launch was both engineering and theater. Rockets rose into the sky, while world leaders condemned, sanctioned, negotiated, and warned. Donald Trump and Kim Jong Un exchanged threats that sounded like the language of war. Analysts feared miscalculation. Citizens in neighboring countries rehearsed emergency plans. Yet the crisis also elevated Kim Jong Un onto the world stage. A leader once mocked as isolated now forced presidents, diplomats, and intelligence agencies to focus on him. He transformed weapons into leverage. Every test demanded attention. Every pause created speculation. In authoritarian strategy, survival often depends not on friendship, but on making yourself too dangerous to ignore. Inside Pyongyang, another image emerged. Luxury apartments, amusement parks, ski resorts, horse riding facilities, elite schools, imported goods. Carefully selected cameras showed modern streets, happy children, elegant performances, and disciplined prosperity. But beyond the showcase districts, reports from defectors described chronic shortages, strict movement control, and lives shaped by ration systems and fear. Two North Koreas seemed to exist at once, one polished for display, one hidden from lenses. In the capital, privilege could buy comfort. In remote provinces, a mistake could destroy generations. The state managed reality through access itself. Foreign journalists were escorted. Routes were planned. Questions were limited. The kingdom did not merely hide secrets. It curated what outsiders were allowed to see. Then came 2020. Rumors exploded across the world that Kim Jong Un had vanished after surgery complications. For weeks, no confirmed appearances. Intelligence agencies disagreed. Media outlets speculated wildly. Some predicted collapse, coups, succession battles. But when he reappeared, smiling beside a ribbon-cutting ceremony, the silence had achieved something powerful. It reminded the world how little it truly knew. Even the health of one of the most watched leaders on Earth remained uncertain behind North Korea's walls. Information itself had become a strategic asset. In open societies, absence creates questions. In closed regimes, absence creates fear, leverage, and myth.
North Korea's generals continued to vanish and reappear. Officials were demoted, restored, replaced. Some analysts saw calculated control. Others saw instability masked as discipline. Yet the deeper system remained intact because it was larger than one man. It was built through dynastic mythology, military loyalty, controlled education, and total management of memory. Children learned sacred stories of the ruling bloodline. History was edited to preserve authority. Images were retouched, names erased. The state did not only govern the present, it attempted to command the past and therefore shape the future.
April 18th, 2026. Pyongyang remains one of the hardest places on Earth to truly see. Behind grand monuments and synchronized parades stands a nation of 25 million lives, largely hidden from the outside world. Some live with privilege near power. Others live under constant scrutiny. Some believe the leadership protects sovereignty against hostile enemies. Others risk everything to escape. Kim Jong Un still rules through a mixture of symbolism, fear, military power, and calculated unpredictability. His forbidden kingdom survives not because the world understands it, but because it does not. And somewhere beyond the cameras, beyond the speeches, beyond the polished avenues of Pyongyang, doors remain locked, records remain sealed, and truths remain buried in silence.